This is a Power 98.7 podcast. Now we're talking. Subscribe to Power 98.7 podcasts in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. There's more on power987.co.za.
I'm so excited about this conversation because I think as we are moving into the next level of our decolonization collectively, September comes around and the idea of wearing your seshweshwe to work or, you know, having a braai on the actual day of Heritage Day just feels lacking. It's starting to feel more and more lacking. Like there's got to be some more depth to what we're doing. Otherwise, let's just not do it. And so we thought, I mean, if you've listened to the show from the beginning, they're all Heritage Month conversations, right? About language, about, decolonizing the way we use tech. That's really what we've been doing. But without saying Heritage Month, bop, 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 you know? And so we thought, let's recognize the African calendar, and let's discuss what this is, right? So at this time of the year in September, it is the beginning, and let's talk to somebody who is a cultural expert who can take us back to the Kemetic calendar, who can talk to us about, you know, what the actual references are when Africa was ruled by kingdoms before the colonial era. So we're so pleased and so honored to have Mkhulu Nsingiza, who is a cultural expert and the CEO of Zinzi Mandela Foundation, to guide us through this conversation. Mkhulu, welcome.
Oh, Thokoza Nkosazana.
It's really just such an honor to talk to you today. I went in research of this topic to your channel, The Great Empire of Kemet, and where you spoke about the African calendar. So perhaps as a way to introduce the concept, can you talk to us about Mutsuseledi, Umvuseleli, Osa, and what September is actually about?
Let me just start by saying that the calendar that we currently use and that government is promoting, it's a calendar that is based on the Northern Hemisphere, and we are on the Southern Hemisphere. So when it's winter this side, it's summer that side. So now, then we bring in, the science as to what happens. During March, on the 21st of March, the sun officially leaves the Southern Hemisphere. It means there's less hydrogen being pumped on Earth. That is why on the Southern Hemisphere, nothing grows, everything it's dry. Until this season again, when, we come to the spring equinox. On the spring equinox, or on the 21st of, September, the sun officially leaves the Northern Hemisphere and goes through what is called the imaginary line of the equator. It takes 3 days, and, the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd, it makes 1 degree southward, which then signifies a new cycle for the Southern Hemisphere. And this calendar, it's nothing new. This is the calendar that we used to use before, colonization, happened, here on the continent. As an example, ngesizulu September sokubiza umandulo, it means ukuthi linyanga eyandulela unyaka omusha. NgesiSuthu kilwezi. Why? Because the cows are full of milk. After remember that the Suthu bona bangena onyakeni in August. That is when the nurturing energy starts at the beginning of that. Tina singena kuyo when it's full in September during the spring equinox. So, meshuku lapho, Nkosazana.
When you say Tina versus the Basotho people, are you talking about countries?
No. I'm talking about Basotho people. Basotho people, they follow the lunar calendar.
Right.
What we are following is the solar calendar.
Right.
The lunar calendar ushers in the new year, in August. at the beginning of this nurturing energy of umvuseleli asa, meaning ukuthi umvuseleli asa is nothing else but hydrogen, meaning ukuthi the sun is getting closer to Earth. Now we are getting hydrogen again, so that is why you see everything starts greening, in September, which confirms ukuthi that nurturing energy is back again.
So, Mkhulu, you had mentioned in your video why it's important spiritually to understand, if not follow, this calendar. Please talk to us about the idea of birthing new ideas, sowing new ideas, and following this calendar and what ease it can bring into our lives.
Yes, when everything is being renewed on Earth, because this is what Asa Umvuseleli, signifies. Everything is being renewed. Whether we are aware or we are not aware, we are affected, by that energy. That is why most of the time people, would get new ideas, during, September, without really being conscious of it's just that as, on the southern hemisphere, we are being renewed again. So what we normally say with a calendar age, it's not just an ornament you hang on the wall. We are a pillar, meaning each and every season. There are 12 seasons with 12 different, principles. And those principles, you need to understand the energy that is, prevalent at a particular time, so that you try and align with that frequency of, that energy. Meaning each and every season, all the 12 seasons of the year, umele uyipile by recognizing the energy that is, dominant at that time.
So that's very interesting, Mkhulu, because in December 31st into January 1st, we're all writing down our New Year's resolutions. We want to be different. We want to change. But really, what energy are we making all of those changes on the backdrop of? What is happening in that January time on the African calendar?
Okay, let's start with, December. As I explained earlier on, we are using a wrong calendar, meaning which we are going against the natural flow of energy. So, everything that we do in September as well as Easter, those are festivities for the northern hemisphere. We're not supposed to partake, in those festivities. As I said, Gucci, when it's winter this side, it's summer that side. When it's summer, it's winter the other side. Meaning, we need to readjust. This also even affects, in the horoscope, the month you were born under, because you then need to swap everything. Ukhule wazi ukuthi you are a Gemini, but when you then come to the African, the Kemet, calendar, you discover ukuthi when you are Sekhmet. Meaning, you have to swap those months around because you were given a wrong calendar. So that planning really, it goes against the natural flow of energy. We're not supposed to be doing all those things. Remember, in the Kemet calendar, December represents a maturity. Sitting isiZulu uzibandlela. It means everything, the grass has grown to a point which the pathways are no longer easily visible. So that represents maturity. Then, meaning you can't start the year when everything is mature. It simply says, we've just been, going against the natural flow of energy.
That is so interesting. And it makes a lot of sense. I was feeling that this resonated with me, Mkhulu, when I was explaining what the topic was going to be. At watching it, it felt like, yes, that makes a lot more sense. Do you think we're moving more towards a time where we're hungry for connecting to our historical roots, right, as Africans? Or I mean, do you agree with the view that we're moving even further and further away with technology, with the globalization? Where are we actually as African people?
No, I think ordinary people on the ground are really hungry to connect, with this energy. The only problem is the powers that be. Abantu are still, fixed in what, the colonizers said, about our calendar. They are not prepared to actually move. So abantu generally on the ground are moving towards that. And what, we have done, we're not moving away, we use the technology to actually align with the energy and assist us in terms of communicating. We are embracing technology fully. Because there's nothing wrong with us, stepping up, to that side of things. Why? Because technology is the future. There are certain, things that, we are developing currently as a technology that will allow us to fully, express and fully communicate with our people, internationally. So if we didn't embrace technology, we wouldn't. Like now, our videos, or the GKTV is watched internationally. We get comments from all over the world. All, Black people or African people all over the world, they are supporting this and saying, no, you guys must actually go ahead, because this is what we need to actually unite African people. Another thing, we as African people are very spiritual people. So we become weak if we are not aligned with the natural flow of energy. Remember, Guti, the sun and the moon are responsible for everything that grows on here on Earth. So we need to monitor as to where the sun and moon, is for us to actually, even because we are affected, whether we like it or not, the moon and the sun affect us. As we move around, the sun, meaning Earth, our planet Earth moves around the sun, and the moon moves around our planet Earth. We are affected. So that is the consciousness that we had as African people before colonizers came here.
So, practically speaking, would this mean then it would be best for schools, for example, to open in September for the beginning of the school year? That holidays get moved around so that people have a break at a different time of the year. What would it actually mean practically if we were to implement the African calendar?
Yes, schools will have to start, in September. Even, the financial, system of companies.
Right.
In Europe, most of the companies are aligned to their calendar. That's why most of the time they start around March. When they welcome back the sun. They are aligned, Europeans. It's only us. They are giving us a timetable to use here on the Southern Hemisphere. We're not supposed to do that. We are supposed to align to the energy of the Southern Hemisphere. So I fully agree. This thing has got to go into schools, has got to go it must be embraced by everybody. Like before, when we welcome, like on the 23rd of September, when we welcome the sun back, we'll be at Inzalo Elanga. That is supposed to be a national, celebration. But now it's only a few people. Why? Because Black people are still, not aware of this calendar. And it's their calendar. It's what they were using before Abelung Befigala. So, a lot of effort, has got to go in, and the government has got to embrace that truth, because it's the truth, it aligns with nature. We are plugging ourselves back to nature so that we regain our power as African people.
We're speaking to Mkhulu Nsingiza, cultural expert and the CEO of Zinzi Mandela Foundation, talking about the African calendar and what it actually means, and where we can plug ourselves back into what we always did as African people. Mkhulu, I'm curious to know then about family planning. What was the way that when Africa was ruled by kingdoms, people decided when they would bring children into the earth?
Oh no, that is determined by nature. That we cannot determine. Into what we normally say, Guti, your ancestors give you a child. Gives you a child. But what, we know, Gucci, the best time to get married is October, according to the Kemet calendar, because the energy of Heter Mphethikazi supports, the union of, both male and, female, energies. So it's time for that spiritual union. So marriage, we know, Gucci, this is the month, Tina, that follow the calendar. We know, which, and then I wasn't aware that when I got married, two some time ago, we married on the 23rd of, September, meaning Gutumoya was aligning us, or we're aligned then, even though we're not conscious. So, these are things that we would encourage abantu. Like, lenyanga esiguyo which is the season ganut. Unut Mphethikazi, meaning the end, of the season, the end of the cycle, according to us, Earth, moving around the sun. Unut ends. And the unut, wuyelo, this is the month where we need, angithi kunalento ngesintu ukuthi umuntu mekeshonile, when you have passed on, kumele ugezwe umoya wakho, meaning ukuthi siyakhuphula ngesizulu, meaning ukuthi, we're cleansing your spirit so that it's accepted back by Mkhulu Nsingiza. This is the time to actually do that, because that is when the gates of heaven are actually open, and the mother Nut accepts, and births again, certain, souls and spirits.
I know that the calendar itself and a book around this information is available from the Zinzi Mandela Foundation. Yes. Tell us more about what's contained in the book.
What is contained in the book is the 12 different seasons. Like I said, in the book, you'll find that the hymns, mpaso, and all the sacred, words that you need to use for each and every season, so that when mpaso, you are actually creating the necessary vibrational frequency so that you are able to connect with the prevalent energy of, that season.
And yes. So I'm just looking for the email address here. I know you can find at GEK_movement on social media, but to order, Mkhulu?
To order, it's info@gekmovement.org. info@gekmovement.org.
And they get delivered as well.
No, there is a way if you pay for the transport. Yes. Yeah. So you pay for the book. Then, depending on where you are, then you are then charged. Based on that.
Wonderful. This has been a very, very interesting and enlightening conversation. I encourage everyone who's listening, in your spare time, go and watch the videos of Mkhulu speaking as well. It just is so enlightening. It's so comforting. It just really brings you back home. Thokoza, Mkhulu, thank you very much for your time.
And we need you, Nkosazana Nabanye, who are in the media as well, to actually assist us as you are doing now. We truly, truly appreciate, because this is the knowledge that must be spread across the whole of the continent. And this is the practical way of uniting, Africans. Imagine if we were to do like the Jews and the Chinese when it comes to their New Year. They all celebrate. It doesn't matter about London, Bagupu. When it comes to a New Year in China, all Chinese celebrate. So this is what we are working towards.
Oh, in our lifetime. Thank you
so much.
You've been listening to a Power 98.7 podcast. For more podcasts, visit power987.co.za or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.